Okay, here we're to graph the function q, defined by q of x equals the square root of 2 minus x squared over the interval from negative 1.4 up to 1.4. So let's just make a table of values between those two interval endpoints. So if x is negative 1.4, 1.4 is approximately the square root of 2. Now the square root of 2 is 1.414 approximately. So this looks like about negative square root of 2. If x was exactly equal negative square root of 2, then the negative square root of 2 squared, let's write this out, 2 minus the square root of 2 squared would equal 2 minus 2, which is the square root of 0, which is 0. So at negative the square root of 2, this expression equals 0. And notice that also at the positive square root of 2, it wouldn't matter if this in here was positive or negative because it's being squared. So it's also the square root of 2, either way, those two endpoints. Now let's try some other points. Let's try negative 1. How about negative 1? And positive 1. When x is negative 1, q becomes 2 minus negative 1 squared, which is 2 minus 1, which is the square root of 1, which is 1. And that's true regardless of whether this was a plus or minus 1 in here. So those two both go to 1. Let's try 0.5. Negative and positive 0.5. Notice that x is squared, so as we've seen in these cases, squaring it, negative and positive come out with the same answer. Negative and positive will also have the same answer here. So what is this common output for the function for these two input values? So we have 2 minus 0.5, either plus or minus 0.5, it doesn't matter. Comes out the same either way because it's squared. So that's 2 minus 0.25. That's the square root of 1.75. And that's approximately equal to 1.32. We don't need much accuracy here because we're trying to graph this. So these two values, approximately 1.32. For one more value, let's try x equals 0 here. If x is 0, then y is the square root of 2. And we saw here that that's about 1.414. 1.41 approximately. So now we have enough values to certainly graph this function over the desired interval. Notice the y's are all positive, so the graph is entirely above the x-axis. And starting off at, let's say this is negative 1, and this is 1, and negative 1.4 is about here. Let's make that negative square root of 2 and positive square root of 2. So that's where the function equals 0 at those 2 points. It goes to a height of 1.4. So let's make this 1, 2. But plus and minus 1, we go up to a height of 1. And then at 0.5, both positive and negative, it goes to a height of 1.32. So 1.32 is about this height. Yeah, 1.32 is about this height. Okay, so above 0.5 and negative 0.5, we go to a height of 1.32 about here. And then finally we go up to a height of 1.4 at 0, so it's about here, height of 1.4. So this graph looks like this. It's symmetrical about the y-axis. So there's the graph of the function q.